Shiroyanagi Akira is a high school student for whom life recently has been absolutely and utterly boring. The only activity that kept Akira mildly entertained was whenever he played video games, and to keep himself occupied for the day, gaming was all he did, even in school. Akira lived alone, and one day when he was on his way to school, a random van interrupts him and a huge, monstrous guy comes out of it. The big guy was after Akira's life, and even though Akira didn't know why someone would chase him down, he started enjoying the thrill the situation brought. Akira lures this freak of nature to a ruined building where he uses the terrain to his advantage and kills the big guy by smartly utilizing his surroundings. Moments later, Akira finds an odd woman standing behind him, and before he could have a chance to do anything, the woman mercilessly kills him. Akira's life took such a dramatic turn, but just before losing consciousness, he wishes to be a part of a similar thrilling situation again. Akira gains consciousness a while later, and he finds himself in an unknown facility where the same odd woman tells Akira and many others that they are practically dead in the real world. The woman introduces herself as Mion, and she tells the crowd that they are participants in a program where they will play games utilizing some special abilities that they have been granted. The first program is revealed to be a one-on-one duel, and the participants are sent to their rooms where they find out about their abilities. Upon opening his envelope, Akira is a little staggered after coming to know about his ability, but instead of panicking, he strategically starts analyzing the situation. Soon after, Akira is taken to his battle arena, where he comes across a delinquent named Kirisaki Madoka. The conditions for winning are told to the participants, and after 5 seconds, the duel begins. Kirisaki's ability allowed him to make a weapon out of a stick, but instead of using his ability, Akira prefers to buy time. Kirisaki corners Akira not long after, but instead of forfeiting, he tells Kirisaki that his ability is to illusions. Kirisaki tries to think about what Akira possibly would do, and this thought gives Akira the same cannon Mion used earlier. With the help of this cannon, Akira wins by forcing Kirisaki into surrendering, but after the duel is finished, Mion reveals that Akira's illusion gives him whatever ability his opponent assumes him to have. This well-executed setup gets Mion interested in Akira, and she looks forward to how Akira would utilize this ability to his advantage in the future. After Akira's impressive display of sophism, the spotlight shifts to a high school girl named Yuri Amagake. Before being dragged into this battle game, Yuri wasn't particularly happy with her life, and she held a lot of hatred for the so-called random chances. Yuri lived with her single mom, who frequently brought men to their place from the bar. Yuri's mom's latest boyfriend had a daughter who Yuri had to take care of due to the circumstances, and that was the only reason she wished to return to her original life, despite hating it. Yuri was secretly collecting a stash of 1 million yen, so she can finally say goodbye to that horrible apartment, but things didn't quite go as Yuri planned when she ended up dying while trying to have a suicidal stalker. Such a stupid death made Yuri feel even more miserable, but she couldn't do anything as she was stuck in this mysterious organization due to the same random chances she hated. After opening her envelope, Yuri found out that her ability gave her enhanced physical strength, and moments later, she was taken to her first program. Yuri's duel was against an old filthy degenerate who had the ability to tell a person's condition from their smell. As soon as the battle began, the old man got a hold of Yuri, but as he was explaining his disgusting fetishes, Yuri got mad and she instinctively unlocked her ability's potential. The ability granted Yuri quintuple strength, and in an enraged state, she obliterates that pervert to win the duel. While other duels were going on, Akira was in his own room trying to figure out whether the organization could read his mind or not. While dreaming, Akira sees Mion as she tells him how the participants are able to use these abilities at the cost of real human lives. But before he could have gone to no further, the management arrives to take him to his next program. The second program was a 5-on-5 team battle where Akira is told to team up with Yuri, Kirisaki, Sawatari, and Big Guy Kumagiri. The battle was 2 hours from now, so Akira starts figuring out his next moves. The team had to introduce themselves to each other, but while others were revealing their abilities, Akira started contemplating what to tell them. For the time being, Akira just goes with his cannon ability, as Kirisaki already knew about it, but he soon realizes that he is now locked into this ability for the entirety of the second program. Akira's next goal was to figure out loopholes in his ability description, so he asks Yuri to demonstrate her ability for the sake of understanding it better. Akira's curiosity gets the boys a little beaten up by Yuri, but as it was already time for the battle, the team heads over to the next arena. Before the programs began, the participants are told that there will be 5 individual duels, and that made Akira appreciate the savagery of this organization. The first duel was between Sawatari and Kashi Rin, where they decided to toss a coin, agreeing that whoever loses will forfeit. Sawatari had chosen to take a 50-50 gamble, but this strategy didn't work against this ruthless woman, as she used her ability to kill him in the blink of an eye. Sawatari's death started a quarrel among Team Akira, but the bigger problem was that they weren't able to figure Rin's ability out. The next bout was between Tatara Ringo and Kumagiri, but a couple of seconds into the fight, Ringo forfeits. Ringo's ability was to copy those of others, but things didn't go as she planned and she had to pull out. Rin gets mad at Ringo for such a pathetic performance, but the girl Sayako settles the feud by telling Rin that she got the next fight. Sayako is put up against Kirisaki, but her ability to enlarge marbles fails against him, as Kirisaki's blade, being able to cut through anything, was the worst match Sayako could have hoped for. Kirisaki's blade helped him in cutting the giant marbles with ease, but the clear victory in front of Kirisaki started to inflate his ego. Despite Akira telling him to just get it over with, Kirisaki kept having fun with his duel, but before he realized, he had gotten himself surrounded by those giant marbles. Sayako uses her last ball after a failed feint, and even though Kirisaki managed to get away with a hidden knife, his carelessness led him to lose both the round and his balls. Akira was up next to enter the stage, but before walking up, he made sure to mock Kirisaki for his stupidity. Akira had no intention to win, and he just intended to use this fight to experiment on his abilities. Akira was up against a lanky dude named Kitajima, and he starts off by equipping his cannon through Kirisaki. Seeing Akira shoot at his own teammate made Kitajima even more terrified, and it also helped Akira in faking his ability to the enemy team. After experimenting a little, Akira finally figured that his ability requires a mutual engagement between him and his target, but as he goes to kill, Kitajima nullifies his cannon. Kitajima didn't want to fight at first, but after realizing that the women in his team could give him some special service, he starts to feel like he is him. Kitajima's glory doesn't go on for too long, as Akira easily outplays and convinces him into forfeiting. The fifth and decisive battle happened on Yuri, but her excitement kind of dies when she finds out that her opponent is the same suicidal guy who led her into this stupid organization. The guy's name was Hoshino Oji, and while he was there to absorb Yuri's love, Yuri gets a bit too mad and she smokes him in a single blow. Mion comes to take the players to the third program, but before that, the winners of the battle are allowed to have a nice meal. After the meal is done, the teams are told to split up, where the losing team of the second round will be penalized before the third program. Team Akira proceeds to the starting area where they go their separate routes, promising to reunite together later down the road, even if they are enemies. For the instructions, the players are only given a random device and are told to gain 1000 points before they are sent to a huge open world. Right off the bat, Mion announces the ways to gain points, and Akira starts looking around for more clues. Akira wanted to understand how this program worked at first, but his plans were interrupted by a random blonde guy, who, instead of fighting, wanted to talk. Akira agrees to listen to that guy when Yuri comes running his way. Yuri was being chased by some creepy dudes dressed in red, and the blonde tells the other two to stay away from them as they were supposedly dangerous. Akira uses a little trick to equip his cannon, and with a few well-aimed shots, he is able to run away with Yuri and the blonde guy. The blondie thanks Akira, and we get to know how this third program is being played in teams. The dudes earlier were from the red faction, while the blonde guy was recruiting players for the green one. The blonde guy's name was Katsuya Saito, and after getting impressed by Akira's perspicacity, he agrees to take him and Yuri to their faction. The green faction was more like a small village, and after meeting a couple of people, Akira starts feeling like he should join. The pair is later taken to the team leader Shiroyanagi, who is amazed after coming to know about the abilities Akira and Yuri had. Akira had assumed that the green faction would be strong, but Shiroyanagi reveals that the situation is quite the opposite. The old man further explains how the green faction is at war against the red one, and since they are the bad guys, Akira should join the green to help in putting an end to the red's tyranny. At the red faction's headquarters, their leader Hajime Oogami is informed about Akira joining the game, and his abilities drew Oogami's interest in either recruiting or dealing with him as soon as possible. Back at the green faction, Shiroyanagi also remarks that there is a third faction of neutrals who call themselves the blue faction, but they have a more laid-back approach to this program as they refuse to take part in any fights. Shirasagi's explanation succeeds in convincing Yuri to join the green, but Akira still had his doubts, and to clear them, he starts pointing fingers at Shirayagi himself. Akira shoots Shiroyanagi right in the face, but after seeing him unfazed, he accepts that he was just trying to verify Shirayagi's ability as a leader before joining Team Green. While this meeting was underway, a member of the team reveals how the green camp is getting flooded with the new recruits. As there were only so many rooms in the camp, Akira volunteered to share one with Yuri. Yuri was assuming that this might be something romantic, but it turns out that Akira wanted to be alone with Yuri so he can get an advantage over his actual ability. Akira first tells Yuri that his ability is telepathy, and after his trust grows in her, he reveals the whole story to her. Pretty soon, the players get a message from Mion where she assigns them to a subjugation quest, with the reward being a lot of points. On the next day, Shirayagi forms teams among his faction, and they head on over to the ruins in Block D, where Mion announces the inauguration of the Ghoul Party. Before making it to the ruins, Akira had told Yuri to just assume that his ability is telepathy, and that way he could still use his cannon while secretly communicating with Yuri. Akira had essentially handed his life over to Yuri, but that allowed him a lot of flexibility with his abilities. Team Green was doing well with the ghouls when, to spice things up, Team Red arrived to oversee the challenge. According to the rules, during a challenge, factions were not allowed to attack each other, but to overset that, Oogami uses people he had captured as slaves to interfere with Team Green's fight. This threw Team Green's momentum completely off, and they had to go on the back foot while trying to survive the ghoul attack. The situation was already bad when a boss ghoul was summoned by Mion, but it gets even more chaotic as despite Shirayagi taking it down, the ghoul started regenerating. Shirayagi was already injured, so he tells the rest of his team to run away while he holds the ghoul boss down. Everyone was down to run away, but Yuri still mindlessly jumped in to help the leader, and that led Akira to stay and fight as well. Akira tried attacking with his cannon, but it was not strong enough to seriously hurt that mass monster. While dodging the ghoul's attacks, Akira sets up a quick plan with Yuri, but to execute it, he first lures the ghoul into some cover. After no one could directly see Akira, he tells Yuri to do her part, and that allowed Akira to get up and close to the ghoul. The trick allowed Akira to blow the ghoul's brains out, but even though that wasn't enough, Oogami jumps in and rips its head off in Akira's place. Oogami had taken an interest in this pair, especially Akira, and he just wanted to throw hands right away. Oogami wants to take the leader out with the other two, but Mion jumps in and tells him to back away. The heat was interesting enough to Mion that she proposed that the teams have an all-out war game 1 week from now. The original reward was just some points, but Oogami's partner Kuro ups the stakes, and now the lives of both factions are on the line. Back at the green camp, despite Shirayagi still being confused, Mion openly announces the hunting game to all the players, and at this point they had no choice but to fight and restore the natural human order. Kumagiri also reunited with Akira and Yuri to join Team Green, and later on Ringo from earlier is shown to be looking for Akira. Ringo was a huge fan of Akira's gaming achievements, and she approached them just to get close. Ringo's nervousness gets the best of her, and she ends up forming a partnership with Akira where she would use her ability to reveal the ability of other members. While the green camp was busy with their preparations, the red is revealed to be ready as well. Kuro from the Red tells his team to mercilessly kill anyone they find, and while they already had suspicions about Akira after receiving information from a certain spy they had in the Green Camp, he becomes sure that Akira's cannon ability is just a fake out. In order to have as much of an advantage as possible, Akira decides to have a meeting with Team Blue's leader, and on the way, he experiments further related to his ability. Akira tries out Yuri's ability, but it turns out that Yuri is sort of a prodigy, as a normal human cannot yield her ability. Akira also tries out a shapeshifting ability, after which he clears the misunderstanding between him and Yuri, telling her that he doesn't trust Ringo completely, and that he had to play along with her as she knew about his real ability. Pretty soon, the pair meets up with the blue team's leader, Iori Omoto, who refuses Akira's offer for helping Team Green in exchange for some points. Instead of the points, Omoto demanded Akira hand Yuri over to him in exchange for their help and 20 recruits, but Akira humbly declined. Omoto heads back to his camp, and after disrespecting Kirisaki a little like normal, Akira and Yuri return back to theirs as well. As this was the last day before the big event, the green team enjoyed a nice dinner, and the next morning they gathered at the stage where this Hunt the King game will take place. Before starting, Mion explains the rule, which included the use of some towers to seal the other king's ability, and as soon as the challenge begins, Shirasagi's team splits up to get control of those towers. The first 2 towers are easily captured, as Akira had already scouted the area days prior to the battle, but the atmosphere was oddly quiet. A woman named Asuka was on her way to capture the 3rd tower when Uogami himself rushed in to get involved in a violent battle. Asuka successfully forwarded the message to her team while she was fighting for her life, but soon Shirasagi realized that this was a decoy plan set by Kuro. The old man was absolutely right with his assumption, but his late realization puts Team Green in a bad spot as they run into multiple traps set by Team Red. With the Team Red willing to do whatever it takes to satisfy their bloodlust and the lives of many innocents on the line, the thrilling situation leaves us wondering, how would this 3rd battle game play out in the next 5 seconds? And that brings us to the end of today's recap. Thank you for sticking till the end, and let us know the show you want to see recap next down in the comments. Don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.